And so I lost faith, not because of the doubts that I expected were going to happen, but rather because I just didn't see any. I just was totally involved in my career. So, anyways, partway through that process, I was in graduate school working on my doctorate. Went off and did postdoctoral work, and there was a key moment for me while I was when I was doing my postdoctoral work, when there was a group of people who were sitting around and talking about a musical production, Jesus Christ Superstar. Tells you when it was. It was a long time ago, in the mid-'70s. And Jesus Christ Superstar was something which everybody was talking about. And in the lab, people knew that I came from a Christian background. And so I was kind of like this resident expert on Christianity. And so they came to me and they started asking me questions about Jesus, his disciples. They wanted me to name the disciples and so on. And they said, and it suddenly hit me. I don't have any right to be considered to be the expert on Christianity. I haven't talked to Jesus for a number of times. I haven't picked up my Bible for some period of time. I'm not the person who can talk. And it hit me that I had lost something that had been very important to me all of those years earlier. And that was a crisis moment for me. There were some other things that happened at that time. There was a Christian who I had known of who was concerned about me and invited me out for lunch, and just Christian fellowship was restored in a way that was rich, and made me say to myself, I had two little girls at that time, 1 and 3 years of age, and it made me say to myself, what am I doing? Do I really want to leave all of this? So at a very particular moment, I can still remember exactly where I was. Knelt down by my bed and said, Lord, I don't know if you're there. By this time I had doubts about other issues as well. I don't know if you're there, but if you're there, the Bible says we can come to you in faith. And so I'm going to try just coming to you in faith again, talking to you as though you're really there. And so I did. Over a period of time, God became increasingly real to me just simply through talking to him. And I remember various things happened as part of all of that. The key books I started to read, and I learned that Christianity was so much more than what I'd learned in Sunday school. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, Malcolm Muggeridge's Third Testament. There were others as well, C.S. Lewis, Leo Tolstoy. Some of the work of Leo Tolstoy inspired me. And I started to realize that there's a lot more to Christianity than just that. There's a lot more to Christianity than what I'd learned earlier, and it became rich and meaningful. Furthermore, God became increasingly real. In the early going, when I just sort of said, I'm going to start talking to you again as though you're real, I had doubts. And when somebody would sit down and have a conversation with me, a philosophical conversation or whatever, I would say, I'm just going to live my life this way. I'm going to live my life as though God is real. And if it turns out at the end that there's nothing else to it, then that's okay. As a result of that 2-year span, however, of increasingly talking to God and knowing God in a personal way, I was involved in a conversation with a student that worked in my lab. And the student that worked in my lab, we were just talking about philosophical issues. And just like I'd always done the last couple of years, I would say, well, if it turns out that it's not really... And then as I was doing that, God was so real to me, it suddenly hit me. I don't need to say that anymore. God is real. And I don't have to say, if it turns out that type of thing.